Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Azul Helmi bin Jasmi. Today, me and my group from JIM1103B are going to present about IMD212 group assignment, which is the proposal on electronic record keeping. For our group organization, we chose Tenaga Nasional Berhad, also known as TNB, for our assignment's reference. TNB known for their electronic business for the whole nation country. The main center of TNB was in Jalan Bangsa, Kuala Lumpur. Let's start with the organization vision, mission and objective. For the TNB vision is to be a leading provider of sustainable energy solution in Malaysia and internationally. For the TNB's mission is integrity, collaborative, professionalism, customer centricity, forward thinking and mindfulness. For the TNB's objective is together we brighten life through innovative and sustainable solutions towards a better world. For the business activity, TNB has provided a few services to their customer. Firstly is Remaco, known as Malaysian Premier Utility Specialist. Second is TNB Fuel, which is under the Energy Vendors Division. Next is TNB Energy Service, which is the provision of green energy solution and service for the development. Lastly is TNB Engineering Corporation, which is the provision of a thermal energy storage district cooling system. Okay, for the organizational structure, TNB's management team has divided into 5 main positions, which is the president, corporate division, core business, non-core business, and company secretary.
Okay, we move to the internal and external transaction of the organization. Firstly, the internal transaction, which is audit. The first is to evaluate the quality and effectiveness of the systems of internal control and the efficiency of the group's operation. Secondly is to do research about the finding on internal control in the group by the internal and external auditor. Secondly, we have the external transaction, which is meant to dominate the external auditors together with such as other functions as may be agreed to by the board and recommend for approval for the board the external audit fee and consider any question of resignation. Secondly, the purpose is to review the external audit plans and scope of work. And the last is to evaluate the sustainability, objective and liability of the external audit. Okay, next is we have the external transactions involved within an extra department transaction. This is the record of the MB. What I found is the MB have do a conditional stock agreement and conditional asset purchase agreement with Genco Spa. Okay, this is the combination of TMB if you want to know. And the purpose is for transfer of the assets, liabilities and business undertaking, including share held in certain subsidiaries related to TMB generation business. This means Genco Spa give cooperation together with the MB to face any challenge together. Okay, I want to share with you about the share in the following subsidiaries of the MB. Okay, the share in the MB has 12. What I get this from the record. And all of this is about TMB in Malaysia, such as in Kapar, Pasir Gudang, Manjung 5, TMB. All of this is TMB in Malaysia. Okay, the first we have 12, but the first is, for the example, what I read to you is the first is 100 equity stake in Intergrade Berhad, 60% equity stake in Kapar Energy Venture Hut. That's it for example of the internal transaction involved within an extra department transaction. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farah Maisara binti Jamaluddin. I would like to explain about the proposed suggestion on how to build the ERMS for Tenaga Nasional Berhad. So in the administrator of electronic records, or we call it as admin, the admin will be responsible to develop a proper feature for the ERMS, such as the search function, the keywords, and classify the records into the group. So admin will be responsible to give the access for the users by giving the password and the username, so they can use it to access the system. So in terms of TNB, the administrator will have to classify the record into the several sections, such as the bill payment section, the registration, or the withdrawal from the service. So the ERMS also will have to decide whether the record is confidential or not, so there will be no data leakage and the info being stolen by the other organization. Okay, so for the security of the electronic records system, the ERMS will guarantee the safety of the records, as they have the several firewalls which can help to block the virus attack and the hackers and the malware from the outside. So they also can help to avoid the missing document or missing records problem during the transferring process. And in the context of users, ERMS will provide a unique password and unique username, so the users need to put the correct information if they want to log in into the system, and if they enter the information wrongly, their account might be freeze by the system, and they need to call the organization in order to activate it again. So for the retention and disposal of electronic records, ERMS will help to decide which record need to be stored permanently and need to be disposed. As it is no longer can be used in the future or doesn't have any function anymore. So in the retention period, ERMS will decide the retention of the record based on the retention schedule, and they will automatic dispose the record when the retention period is when the record reach the retention periods. So the record which need to be stored permanently will be the record which need to be kept will be stored permanently, and the record which are no longer needed will be disposed, and the record which are no longer not being used will be disposed permanently, so it can be deleted from the storage and even the cloud storage, so it can help to save the space in the ERMS. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amirul Afiq bin Zakir Hamdi. My student ID is 2019 435 416. I will handle reading materials for developing ERMS. So at that, I have 6 articles that include in that section. Okay, the overall of the article is about the ERMS, the structure of it, you can see, and you can see the standard by the Arkib Negara Malaysia, and you can also see the other company using ERMS that give it benefit to them, and also they have a comparison of institution that you can see the different about it, that if many people in that institution, it will become increase the cost, and you can see other comparison on that article. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ahdi bin Razam, and today I'm gonna suggest a proper suggestion for the electronic record management system for the Tenaga Nasional Berhad. So for the first one is the document format. It is important for the system to have variety range of format so it can deal with the business activity. It must have a feature that have a function that can deal with the format that are commonly used by the company. So the use of the open formats are very relevant, so it can be used for the document migration and transfer. It can also decrease the difficult and cost of maintaining the records, and it increase the ability of computer system or software in order to exchange and make use of the information. Okay, the software application that I use is web authoring tools, image application, email application, standard office application such as spreadsheet and word processing. Okay, the example of format is HTML, XML, JPEG, PNG, PDF, TXT, and many more. The MRS also need to have a software and that have a capability that allow to increase the range of available supported file formats. This is important to change the format to the new file format. Okay, the second is the use, access, and dissemination of electronic record. First, the EMS must be implemented with a feature that can find and locate the record in order to retrieve and render the record that is maintained. This is because it is very crucial to facilitate the usable record. Navigation and search tool must be provided to find and locate the records, aggregation and metadata. The company can deploy and implementing a complete techniques of search range for the new and for the new and novice user, such as for the new TNB staff to allow for the retrieving process. Next, the EMS have collection of records which come in variety kind of formats. Due to this, it need to have a human readable access to make the record able to store in all formats, and they are rendered through the rendering interface, so it can be accessible for staff and client. This is to make sure that the staff and client can retrieve the printed copies of record and the records metadata. And the last one is how can the TNB for the last one is the maintaining electronic data. The record must be maintained to make sure that records remains accessible and able to retain over time and anytime. This can be done by creating a proper security control, creating disposal plan, and the hybrid record management. Okay, so we move on to the control and security. The record must be fully protected to prevent unauthorized changes or accidental loss for the data. It must have main control access that can be only accessed by certain individual or TNB staff. And the permission, location, tracking and control also crucial to ensure that the change that are made for the record are legal and allowed. Next, hybrid records management is crucial to maintain the combined record metadata, whether the electronic or non-electronic records. The system must preserve and maintain the metadata of the physical record. This technique is a combination of the system and the physical data. Therefore, the company need to provide a proper tool such as document imaging server or cloud-based electronic system to allow document to be saved in hard copy and the paper one to be scanned and saved in the system. And the last one is the retention and disposal policies. This is important to be implemented into the RMS system because it helps to perform disposal action for the record that are expired and not needed anymore. And it can create retention period for the collection for the record that have value for the company use. Okay, if the company decided to keep all an unused part, it might cause the storage to be occupied and full and cause it harder to find the other files and record for the TNB staff. Therefore, the disposal need to be considered when transfer and migrate it to new system to ensure that it did not mix up with the old and unnecessary file. That's all from me.